What is your path to Dharma?
Welcome, Path to Dharma Podcast. We're really happy to be here with you tonight. Again, I am Shannon. I'm here with my beautiful daughter Shay, and we are reading the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Welcome to our study. I was thinking that it's like I've been kind of struggling to like call this something, and it's our study of the Srimad Bhagavatam. That's what we're here to do. So
It's our
welcome.
welcome. So, if this is your first time seeing us, we've just been working our way slowly through the Srimad Bhagavatam.
Mm-hmm.
And learning as we go. So we are here to share that experience with you. Not everyone is blessed with having the books in front of them like we are. So we want to be helping those who don't have access to this get this
Mm-hmm.
beautiful knowledge because already, and we're not that far in, but already we are just deliciously eating up every morsel of knowledge. And I cannot wait for tonight's episode. There's so much to talk about.
Yeah, it's where we are on Canto 1, Chapter 5 is where we're reading from. And so yeah, not very far. We've literally dipped our toes in the water and my life has changed. So if you're looking for that, continue on. Please share with somebody who you think may be interested. And otherwise, if you have the book, feel free to read along. If not, listen to the delicious words, the delicious nectar.
And we thank you so much for all the beautiful, amazing comments that we've been getting. You've been teaching us, you've been directing us on what to read, what to listen to. It's been really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's been so good, Shay and I had this idea. And we're getting really close to being able to execute this idea that we had. We've actually hired somebody, aka my 15-year-old son, her brother, to help us a little bit with the technical part of this. But
Mm-hmm.
it is our plan to invite you on here to talk to us, and we are getting ready to set that up. It's our plan to go live and have you come up here, talk to us about the Bhagavad Gita, about the Srimad Bhagavatam. And once we get that set up, which hopefully we'll have in the next couple weeks, we will start to be going live, talking to you, hopefully. And what do you think about this? We want to know in the comments. Are you willing to come on here and talk to us? We thought it would be so great because you have such good comments if we could just have the real conversation. So,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've been learning so much. We hold the official Krishna fan club on the first Saturday of every month. So if you haven't checked that out, you can go over to our little live tabs. We do that live. And last Saturday we had Krishna fan club and it was outstanding. I would say one of our best videos. I learned so much from the viewers, from you. I learned
yeah.
just so much. And with each moment that we connect to this ancient literature and then we connect to Krishna, my heart is unlocking and my creativity is being sparked. And I'm just so excited to have you along on this journey with us. I was thinking how grateful I am to kind of have this time capsule of our evolution here on YouTube and how cool it is that we're going to be able to years from now come back and listen to our reactions now. I'm sure we'll learn from ourselves again. I said this to you. Sometimes I listen back to our episodes and I learn so much from us. Um, so that's very exciting, and I am so ready to get into this.
Okay, so if you are following with us, we are, as Shay said, Canto 1, Chapter 5. I think we're going to pick it up on text 21. But before we get into that, we have a little bit of a instruction we've been given by Sri Narada on what we're to do before we read the Srimad Bhagavatam. So
Before
we're
reciting this Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead, Narayan, unto Narayan Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. by regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam, and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact.
Lamb. Thank you for that, Shay. I love that. That's a really nice.
It's such a pleasure to read that. It
Mm,
really is.
yeah.
If you're new to this podcast, I refer often to Wisdom of the Sages. That's where I first began listening to the Srimad Bhagavatam. And so I say that this is new to me and that we're reacting live time. But really, I had this realization that I've been listening to this for 4 years without even really knowing what it is that I was listening to. And so I have memorized kind of that. I'm reading it right from the book. However, it comes to me so naturally because I've been listening to the Wisdom of the Sages, and they read that every time they read the Bhagavatam. And so it's just such a pleasure, and it's kind of like a dream that I'm able to even say that on camera.
Well, you say it beautifully, so thank you so much for
Oh,
that.
thank you.
Hopefully we'll be able to start actually saying the Sanskrit words
Yes,
or
that's
in the
our goal.
background practicing that. So
Yes.
more to come on the future. Okay, so let's set the setting of where we are at. I saw you reading a little bit before we got on here, and I was trying to back up to figure out who exactly is the speaker and who is the listener in the current text that we're in, text 21.
And actually, I was ahead. So what I was saying is ahead. I'm not exactly sure. I need to go back a little bit to figure out who's talking as well, unless you know off the top of your head.
Isn't this where Vyasadeva, no, Sri Narada is talking to Vyasadeva,
Uh,
I
Yes,
believe, and they're having the
my dear Vyasa.
conversation, and Vyasadeva is saying, "Why aren't I satisfied?" I just
Mm-hmm.
wrote the Mahabharata. Do I have this
Yes.
backwards?
Nope, I think you're right.
Um, and I feel like there's more to come. And the answer was, well, you're not done. No, you're right. Actually, there is more to come.
Can we start actually on Canto 1, Chapter 5, Text 19? I
Does
feel
this,
like I feel like that this is where Sri Narayan is beginning to talk um to Vyasa, and I think that's just a good starting point, honestly, instead of jumping in to what he's saying. This is like the beginning of his next
yeah.
chunk. So I'm going to begin to read there. Canto 1, Chapter 5, Text 19. My dear Vyasa, even though a devotee of Lord Krishna sometimes falls down somehow or other, he certainly does not undergo material existence like others. Because a person who has once relished the taste of the lotus feet of the Lord can do nothing but remember that ecstasy again and again.
Yes, yes.
So good.
Okay, so good. I remember reading this last time and
Yes,
hearing
right.
this and having that same reaction. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely worth reading again. Um, yeah.
And again and
And
again.
again and again. Okay, so let's dig into that a little bit before we move on because yes, my obvious reaction is like I resonate with that for sure. But I love this part about the person who falls still moves through life differently, regardless of the fall, regardless
And
of the mistake.
and I think about how my life has changed since Krishna's come into it. And it's this flip from, and we've said this before, things are happening to me, and now it's actually things are happening for me. And so no matter the circumstance, and it kind of goes back to that Gita verse that says, I'm the same in pain and pleasure alike. This whole idea of like nothing is good and nothing is bad, and keeping that even mind, that is how the pure devotee's life is different in the highs and the lows, I think.
Yeah, it reminded me of this concept of the violet pill. Do you know what I'm talking about when I say that? Have you heard that term before?
No.
Okay, so you know in the Matrix, you have the red pill, you have the blue
Yes.
pill.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then you're supposed to choose. Okay. Well, the idea of the violet pill is that you take the higher perspective. And actually, it's both. You're taking the red pill and the blue pill together, and you understand that it's perspective and it's both experiences that are simultaneously happening.
Mm-hmm.
We separate ourselves out. We don't see it that way. We don't perceive it that way. We're not meant to. But that's kind of what it seems like
Right.
when you can take that higher perspective of the violet pill or whatever, or detachment, as we've been talking about so much. You do move through life differently.
Yep.
You do. And I've for sure seen that happening in my life. And it's the little things, I really think, there where you notice it, because sure, the big things feel like, maybe the overall arc of happiness that happens,
Mm.
or the overall arc of like satisfaction in life.
Mm.
But what does make those moments of satisfaction up is, those moments where you just tune in and you're present
Yeah.
and you're grateful. And that's what I feel like I'm seeing, as
Yeah.
I'm able to dispassionately sort of notice conflict rather than participate.
Mm.
And
Mm-hmm.
one of the things that I noticed even from our last episode was talking about, being attached to that feeling of the material things, to include anger, to include anything that elevates you, your mood, your energy, where sometimes we are just programmed to
Mm-hmm.
go to that because the chemicals in our brains spike as we get some type of input. And, it goes back to our childhood of how did we get attention? Maybe that's how we're doing it. And we're replicating that over and over. And we get a spike in our brain that feels like a reward. And
Mm-hmm.
we get attached to that thing. So being able to dispassionately move through life differently is something you have to train yourself almost to do.
Well,
Uh,
yeah, and it's like that's why they call it yoga practice. I always tell everybody that this isn't like yoga test. You have to ace it. This isn't like this is
right.
class. This is practice. Like you're practicing.
We're in school right now. We are
Exactly.
literally in practice.
100.
We're going through life in practice. Is this practice life?
Well, I think we're gonna get the answers in here. Let's
I
keep
think
going.
so. It's so good. Okay,
Okay.
so in text 20,
Mm-hmm.
the Supreme Lord Personality of Godhead is himself this cosmos, and still he is aloof from it. From him only has this cosmic manifestation emanated. In him it rests, and unto him it enters after annihilation. Your good self knows all about this. I have given only a synopsis. I have given only a synopsis. I love that answer. He said so many things. He's like, that's just a synopsis. Wait.
Like there's so much in there.
Just
Him
wait.
only has this cosmic manifestation emanated. In him it rests, and unto him it enters after annihilation. Like he is all encompassing.
What does he mean by when he says your good self knows this? Your good self knows all about this.
I think that's like your pure spirit, I think, right?
Yeah. Like I was
It,
talking about your higher self.
right. Exactly. Because right now he's like, um, like I'm not satisfied with the knowledge I gave. And it's like, okay, well, your good self knows, right? All of these things.
Yeah. Your good self. No, let's keep going.
Text 21. Your goodness has perfect vision. You yourself can know the supersoul personality of Godhead because you are present as the plenary portion of the
Plenary.
Lord. Although you are birthless, you have appeared on this earth for the well-being of all people. Please, therefore, describe the transcendental pastimes of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, more vividly.
Please. I want to know. Please. Yes.
Yes.
So he invites him to expand that thought that he has in his mind that's like, I'm not done. He's like, yes, please expand.
Yes, keep going. This is getting so good.
So good. Text 22. Learned circles have positively concluded that the infallible purpose of the advancement of knowledge, namely austerities, study of the Vedas, sacrifice, chanting of hymns, and charity, accumulates in the transcendental descriptions of the Lord, who is defined in choice poetry. Yes.
So people have concluded that all of these things culminate, and so all you have to do is read the descriptions of the Lord. Is that what that's saying?
Okay, so let's say what it is. So the study, the
Austerities.
advancement of knowledge, the
Name.
study of the Vedas,
Mm-hmm.
sacrifice,
Mm-hmm.
chanting of hymns, and charity. That's it. Okay. Are we catching that? Are we catching that correctly?
Mm-hmm.
I think so. Okay, so I guess the question really then becomes, what does all that actually mean?
Okay, so
Truly.
we do those things um for the Lord, for Sri Krishna.
I say we keep going because I feel
Yeah,
like
let's go.
possibly we're trying to answer a question that's about to be answered.
We do this, yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's true. It's true. Okay, so go on to
Text 23.
text 23.
O Muni, in the last millennium, I was born as the son of a certain maidservant engaged in the service of Brahmins, who were following the principles of Vedanta. When they were living together during the 4 month of the rainy season, I was engaged in their personal service.
Okay, this is the story. It's so good. I love
It
this
is so
part.
good, but remind me what is Vedanta?
I don't know. You're supposed to tell me that, Shay.
I know. I'm looking it up really quick.
Look it up real quick. Let's not pass that up. I'm going to read that aloud again as you look that up. Okay. O Mooney, in the last millennium, I was born as the son of a certain maidservant engaged in the service of the Brahmanas, who were following the principles of Vedanta. Is it like because you're reading the Vedas? Is that, or is it like a certain
Yep.
path of yoga?
So Vedanta is one of the six orthodox schools of Hindu philosophy and
Okay.
represents the end part of the Vedas, the oldest and sacred texts of Hinduism.
Perfect.
So
Okay.
Veda means knowledge, Anta means end or culmination. Thus,
Okay.
Vedanta can be translated as the end of the Vedas or the culmination of knowledge.
Got it.
They, they focus on the philosophical teachings found in the Upanishads.
Okay, so he was engaged in their service because his mother was a maidservant. And
Mm-hmm.
so, if we just set the scene, so we have this little boy who is engaged in taking care of these sages who are essentially the masters of spirituality.
Mm-hmm.
And he's just in their presence. Okay, he's
Mm-hmm.
just in their presence when he's young. Personal service, bringing them food, bringing them things, cleaning up after them, that type of thing. Am I
Mm-hmm.
capturing that?
I believe so. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay, so on to text 24.
Although they were impartial by nature, those followers of the Vedanta blessed me with their causeless mercy. As far as I was concerned, I was self controlled and had no attachment for sports, even though I was a boy. In addition, I was not naughty and I did not speak more than required. Going to continue to text 25.
Only
Once,
once,
mhm,
yeah, go ahead. Only
please.
once, no, I'm going to do it. Only once by their permission, I took the remnants of their food, and by doing so, all of my sins were at once eradicated. Thus, being engaged, I became purified in heart, and at that time, the very nature of the transcendentalist became attractive to me. Okay, so if we just see we can already kind of picture this boy he's picking up the vibration, and he essentially, he wasn't interested in sports. He wasn't naughty. He did what he was told. He saw what they were doing, and he's like, yep, I'm going to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like,
Yep.
yep, it became attractive to him. And then what happens? Shay in text 26.
O Vyasadeva, in that association, and by the mercy of those great Vedantists, I could hear them describe the attractive activities of Lord Krishna. And thus, listening attentively, my taste for hearing of the personality of Godhead increased at every step.
Let's
Same.
pause. Yeah, let's
I
pause
feel
there
that.
because I want to feel that a little bit as it like goes in. You do want to hear more. Tell me more. Tell me more for
I
sure.
think about like I've been chanting Hare Krishna for like 4 years now without even really
Yeah.
understanding like why. Always feeling uh Krishna's presence when I do so, like always feeling that, but still not quite like really under. And it's because of this.
Yeah.
It's because it's like when they said, once you feel that ecstasy of the lotus feet of Lord Sri Krishna, you remember that again and again and again. And so I just always have been coming back to it, like subconsciously without even really knowing why.
Yeah.
I
Same.
love that. And it's like the whole now we're just so immersed in hearing about the pastimes of Lord Krishna and talking about it and sharing it. Um, yeah, beautiful.
I love it. It's like I picture us in a beautiful garden. We're just like lounging around. And like I just lean over to you and I just talk to you about some things beautiful Shri Krishna likes, and we talk about it and we share it. We say his name. It's like it feels like that sometimes.
Yeah.
My mind just floats off in a cloud because it feels
Mm-hmm.
so good to do it. It feels
Mm-hmm.
amazing. It does feel blissful.
It does.
Okay, so where are we?
Text 27. Oh, great sage. Oh, is it my turn? Or I
No, go
just read.
ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, great sage. As soon as I got the taste of the personality of Godhead, my attention to hear of the Lord was unflinching. And as my taste developed, I could realize that it was only in my ignorance that I had accepted gross and subtle coverings. For both the Lord and I are transcendental.
We think about and we've talked about our childhood programming, and pretty much his childhood programming was Krishna. So it shouldn't not surprise us. Should it surprise us that as a child, he wasn't programmed to think anything else and picked up the obvious and was like, oh, obviously,
Yeah,
is that what could happen if we didn't give children limiting beliefs?
right.
Would they automatically assume their own divinity and assume do you hear what I'm saying?
No, absolutely. I mean, and isn't that to me? I've shared this before that I spend my days in a Montessori classroom, and like that's the goal, right? Is to help children like easily understand their cosmic purpose on this in the world through their own divinity.
I mean,
Like, and
take 2 minutes and explain what is Montessori and how is it different than most American classrooms.
well, that is almost as if
I
you're
know that's a whole
asking to.
episode.
It's almost as if you're asking to explain yoga in 2 minutes. It's not quite
Yeah.
as in depth, but it still is. It's basically just a philosophy and active way of guiding children to naturally learn without forcing them through a public school model. So it's a model of schooling that is very different than public school, with the idea that we're not filling a kid up, they're not empty, but that they're actually a sponge and they absorb everything around them. And so you prepare the environment for them and then they do the work of teaching themselves.
Sounds like Mother Gaia.
It sounds like Mother Gaia. It sounds like, yes, exactly. And to me, it's so connected to all of this because it's like, yeah, I think you're right. I think that if we didn't have certain programming, we would be able to just uncover our divinity early on. I think we come with a superpower of knowing our divinity and then it's
Yeah.
slowly stripped away from us. And then as an adult or once you gain some autonomy in your life, if you don't have that growing up, then you have to like uncover it for yourself, do the shadow work of finding it. But I don't think it needs to be that hard. I think that we can just be born and know our divinity and be taught in a certain way of, I trust your inner guide, opposed to like do it my way.
Yeah. Well, it seems like, well, obviously we are reading about a divine being here.
Mm-hmm.
But let's keep going in text 28. Thus, during two seasons, the rainy season and autumn, I had the opportunity to hear these great souled sages constantly chant the unadulterated glories of the Lord Hari. As the flow of my devotional service began, the coverings of the modes of passion and ignorance vanished. Beautiful. In text 29, I was very much attached to those sages. I was gentle in behavior, and all my sins were eradicated in their service. In my heart, I had strong faith in them. I had subjugated the senses, and I was strictly following them with body and mind. So I can picture he's really feeling the devotion. He's feels and knows that he's exactly where he's supposed to be, as we just said.
Mm-hmm.
Go on in text 30, Shay.
As they were leaving, those Bhakti Vedantas, who were very kind to poor-hearted souls, instructed me in that most conf, confidential,
Confidential.
yeah, subject which is instructed by the personality of Godhead himself. Text 31. By that confidential knowledge, I could understand clearly the influence of the energy of Lord Sri Krishna, the creator, maintainer, and annihilator of everything. By knowing that, one can return to him and personally meet him. Are
It's
we about to
amazing.
find what is that confidential knowledge?
I think the Srimad Bhagavatam might.
Oh, that is the confidential
I
knowledge.
mean, the Vedas have different. Help us out, listener. What does he mean by the confidential knowledge? And I do feel like there's probably just teachings that are orally given to the initiates.
Oh, sure.
And it's got to be that. But no doubt that
And it
the
and it could just be that it is the Srimad, it is all the scriptures that have come from the personality of Godhead. That's probably
I would think so.
right.
I would think so. Okay, so go to text 32.
Yep.
Oh,
By that,
Brahma.
oh, we are reading different ones.
Yeah, we were. Are you on 32?
No, we're on 31.
We're on
Oh, wait.
31.
No, we are 32. Sorry.
Okay. No, you go ahead.
O Brahma, Vyasadeva, it is decided by the learned that the best remedial measure for removing all troubles and miseries is to dedicate one's activities to the service of the Supreme Lord Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna.
Oh, good soul, does not a thing applied therapeutically cure a disease which was caused by that very same thing? Remember,
Ah!
you remember how I always want to come up with a good question for my guru? That seems
Mm-hmm.
like a good one. That seems like a good question because I don't even, it's like I only slightly even know what he means by that. I'm not
I
gonna
think he
lie.
means, I think he means, does not a thing apply therapeutically cure a disease which was caused by the very same thing? So we were caused the disease by coming into the creation of Krishna, and so doesn't applying Krishna consciousness or whatever you want to say therapeutically cure the same disease by that very same thing? If everything is Krishna,
Yeah.
the disease is caused by that, and so the use of it therapeutically will cure it.
Yeah. That's
It's like
a,
we've come to here with the three modes of material nature, right? We've talked about those tamas,
right.
rajas, sattva. And so to transcend those things which were created by Krishna, we
Yeah.
use Krishna.
We give service to Krishna,
Yeah, yeah. So it's
basically.
not we're not using Krishna. That's
Right.
not what I meant to say, but yes, you understand
Yeah.
what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. We provide service.
It's
Okay.
through it's through Krishna that we're able to cure the disease, which it wasn't caused by Krishna, but it
E-
is Krishna.
Except for doesn't Krishna say he is all the things?
Yeah, I mean, right? He's the creator and the annihilator.
Can he be the disease in the sense of destroying something within you that is no longer needed or not necessary for you?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, in some ways, as we've been reading all these amazing stories, and I've been listening so much to and reading the Mahabharata, we were reading about, we watched the Ramayana.
Mm-hmm.
So good. All these things that we are reading and watching. It's just like these um decisions that people make. They often will trace us back to an earlier story where
Mm-hmm.
something happened in a previous life. And we are reading the words of Krishna basically in a couple different incarnations, just basically talking to himself, talking
Right.
to us, right?
Yeah.
So as I try to wrap my mind around all of that and the idea that we're all how did someone put it? I think it was Debbie Sheld in the comments about you are the beginning and the end and all of that. So if I try to take a higher perspective of what's being said here, it's real deep.
So
It's
deep.
so deep,
I
but
mean, just that every line we could like pick apart, right? And really like meditate on. But that one, that is good.
yeah, that's good.
Oh,
That's
good soul.
good.
Does not a thing applied therapeutically cure a disease which was caused by that very same thing? Text 34.
Text
Thus,
34.
when all man's activities are dedicated to the service of the Lord, those very activities which cause his perpetual bondage become the destroyer of the tree of work.
Ah, wow. I
It's so grounding for me when I read something like this. After like having certain thoughts throughout the day. Like I've just been recently,
yeah.
I have a situation comes up, right? And instead of like, oh, what should I do about that? Or how am I going to do that? Or in which way? I've been telling myself, like, oh, like, Krishna, please just guide me. Like, I will just know what to do. Like, Krishna, just guide me. And I just trust and surrender to Krishna instead of like feeling anxious about something or feeling like, oh, should I do it this way or that way? I just have been surrendering it unto Krishna and
Yeah.
dedicating it as service to Krishna. And that is just uh,
And then nothing is work.
nothing is work.
It becomes service. It all becomes service. It all becomes, if it's not service to another human being, it's service to yourself, service to the divine. And I feel like when you can get into that flow, ah, so
I want to
good.
cry. I literally want to cry. I just had like a wave wash over my body that just feels really nice.
That's
So
the
you can
bliss. Okay, I'll keep going. Let's go
go
to text 35. Yes. Whatever work is done here in this life for the satisfaction of the mission of the Lord is called bhakti yoga or transcendental loving service to the Lord. And what is called knowledge becomes a concomitant factor. Like we got to break that word down.
Yeah, I don't know what that means.
Yeah, same. But I'm tracking that first part. I understand that first part. And we've talked about that before. Whatever work is done here in this life for the satisfaction of the mission of the Lord is called bhakti yoga,
Hmm.
service. And that's really what the idea, I guess, of the bhakti yoga tradition that we've been hearing about and reading about really is. Are you looking
I'm,
up that other word? No.
I'm not. I'm honestly just sitting with this feeling in my body that I just was overcome with. And like I have tears and it just feels like so very nice that my heart is like feels so open and this all just feels so very nice. But yes, I will look that up. See.
I think that's what you're supposed to do exactly, Shay, is feel
Hmm.
that. So don't rush yourself,
Oh yeah,
honestly.
no, it feels good. Um, Concomitant means naturally accompanying or associated.
Okay. All
Oh,
right.
okay, so yeah, and what is knowledge just accompanies that.
Okay.
Transcendental loving service comes to the
Yeah.
Lord comes first, and what is called not, and that's what I was just explaining there too. It's like I don't have to know the answer that comes with the transcendental loving service. So if I just surrendered onto Krishna, with service in my heart, the answer will come.
Yeah,
Like
right,
the knowledge
exactly.
of what is supposed to will come.
Right. While performing duties according to the order of Sri Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one constantly remembers him, his names, and his qualities. That was text 36. It's true.
Hmm.
I find myself thinking about Krishna all the time, randomly. Let us all chant the glories of Vyasadeva, along with his plenary expansions, Pradyumna, Er, Er,
And
Aniruddha,
yeah,
Sanskarsana. Okay, you you read that one too.
let us all chant the glories of Vyasadeva, along with his plenary expansions, Pradiyama, Aniruddha, and Sankarsana. The best I
Okay.
have.
Okay, so are we gonna find out who that is?
Yeah, they must be deities of some sort, right?
Yeah, it sounds like it. That was text 37. Okay, in text 38. Thus, he is the actual seer who worships in the form of transcendental sound representation. The supreme personality of Godhead, Vishnu, who has no material form. Okay, that's the chanting. That's what somebody was saying, or I was reading about how Krishna is here in the form of vibration. Like Vishnu is here. Just vibration is what um m- vibration is, it means that energy is moving. Where's your brother right now? Because he did a beautiful explanation in the car the other day about what is vibration.
Okay, well, I figured out from text 37, Pradyum Pradyumna um is mind. That's another word for the mind.
Okay.
Aniruddha is the false ego,
Okay.
and Sankarsana is the living entity.
It's like the three things Swami
So,
Prabhupada was talking about. Remember that one talk we watched of his that was
yeah.
so good? And it was like the three states, and then the fourth state was like you didn't even realize that about that one. And then there was like a wow.
So, yeah, it's the living entity, the mind, and the false ego. So, when
Okay.
it says, let us all chant to the glories of Vyasudeva along with his expansions,
Yeah,
his
okay.
mind, his ego, his living entity.
Okay.
Can you reread verse 38? Because I was not listening. I was looking that up.
Yes. Thus, he is the actual seer who worships in the form of transcendental sound representation, the supreme personality of Godhead, Vishnu, who has no material form. That's where we're talking about the chanting.
Yeah.
And that's actually probably how, who we're still referring to Vyasadeva or Narada.
Narada is still talking, I believe.
Yeah, Narada. And that's basically he's telling his story. And you would have to think if you lived with chanting, that 100% would have to affect you.
Oh,
Yeah.
100%. I'll never forget when I chanted my first like 108 rounds of something. I was actually like floating and time became non-existent and like however long it was felt like actually 1 minute of it was
Yeah.
it was just crazy.
And if she was a maidservant, she probably was walking around. He was hearing that in utero more than likely.
Right.
So
Yeah.
that's why he's the way he is. Okay. So
Thus,
we're
he
on.
is the actual seer who worships in the form of sound representation.
Yeah,
So we got to get our chanting game up.
we do have to get our chanting
And
game
I've
up.
been thinking about this for quite some time. And I do chant, but not like formally. And I have japa beads, and there's no reason for me to not be chanting 108 rounds of Hare Krishna at least
Yeah.
every single morning.
Yeah, you're right. Same. And I think it's just we haven't gotten
The
into
habit. Yeah.
the practice of it.
Yeah.
So I definitely have done it also, but yeah,
Right. Oh my gosh, we are almost done with chapter 6 already.
I know I wanted
Or
to finish
chapter
chapter.
5.
Yeah, we're right at the end. So two more texts to go. Text 39.
Mm-hmm. O
Go ahead.
Brahman, thus by the Supreme Lord Krishna I was endowed first with the transcendental knowledge of the Lord as incul-
Inculcated.
inculcated in the confidential part of the Vedas, then with the spiritual opulences, and then with his intimate loving service.
Please, therefore, describe the Almighty Lord's activities, which you have learned by your vast knowledge of the Vedas, for that will satisfy the hankerings of great learned men, and at the same time mitigate the miseries of the masses of common people who are always suffering from material pangs. Indeed, there is no other way to get out of such miseries. Okay, so that's pretty much why he says to do it, because there are most of us who will not and aren't going to take the time or be able to learn the confidential part of the Vedas. And
What's
so, therefore, he's saying, go ahead and describe the Lord's activities for the masses of the common people.
what's so crazy to me is that if you would have told me 5 years ago that I'd be so like dedicated to reading the scripture and like just wanting to tell everybody like read this, I would have been like, yeah, no, like no way. But how? This is what's happening to me is like how do
How?
I interact with people in my life without just like
Okay.
telling them how much I love Lord Sri Krishna all the time.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I think it's a matter of going through life in that state, as we heard being described at the beginning,
Right.
where you flow through life kind of above. Also,
Mm-hmm.
there's a detachment of the ego that's necessary,
Mm-hmm.
because I do feel that there's a part of the ego that makes you feel like you have to say it to someone. Do you
Mm.
know what I mean? Just sit with it.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I had a dream that Shay and I were on this big plane, okay? And we were with a big tribe of people, like we were nomads. We were literally nomads. And we had heard this rumor that there was this old spiritual yogi that was sitting up in a cave. And so she and I decided we were going to go find that guy. And our tribe was going to like sit tight and wait for us. And we were going to climb up the mountain and find this sage in the cave. And so we get up there, we find him, and we see him, and he looks at us and he kind of just gives us the head nod to come in. We come in, we sit down, he looks at us and he closes his eyes. He just closes his eyes. And the two of us just look at each other. And it's like we had this moment where we simultaneously were wondering, like, wait, how long are we going to sit here? And at that same time, we also knew, oh, damn, he's waiting for us.
Mm-hmm.
Like, we're not actually waiting for him. He's
Mm.
waiting for us.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like, Krishna is so patient, and obviously like endlessly patient, infinitely
Mm-hmm.
patient. So it's that we have to be able to close the eyes and be ready to receive. And we don't often take the time to be able to do just that.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't need to be able to tell everyone about it then. And I love to talk about Krishna, and it's not that. Obviously, we have the Krishna fan club to celebrate.
Mm-hmm.
But I do think there is an element of ego involved when you feel compelled. And someone made a comment in one of our videos, I don't know which one, talking about how this type of knowledge isn't, it's not like there's missionaries going door to door saying, please
Right.
read the Gita. It comes to you because you're drawn to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I do feel like those who are drawn to it are drawn to it,
Mm-hmm.
and they're ready for it when they're ready for it. 10 years ago, I would not have been and was not ready for this.
Right.
So we had to get there. And I think that um, the other thing is that the beauty of your light that you just shine just by being is actually what has people say to you, wow, what is it about you, Shay? Why are you like that? Why is your life like that? And then you're just like, yeah, this is why.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so powerful. And I've seen people do that with you because you are magical, my love.
I gotcha.
Wow. This was like really I feel like we had such a sweet kind of conversation about this tonight.
I mean, like, do you just feel the energy that we're sitting in right now?
Yeah, I do feel it. It feels really blessed. It feels
It
like what an
does.
honor. I can't believe
Mm-hmm.
that we have this in front of us and we're able to read it and just feel it. That's what it feels like. It's like we're
Mm-hmm.
absorbing it.
I
So grateful to be here with
love
you.
it
We
so
made it. We
much.
made it to chapter 5. So it looks like when we pick it up next time, we'll hit up chapter 6, conversation between Narada and Vyasadeva, and so many more beautiful lessons that we have to discuss. So thank you so much for this beautiful reading and study tonight, Shay. What a blessing to be with you. Thank you,
Hare
dear
Krishna.
viewer, dear listener. Such a blessing to be with you.
Mm.
Um, what else, Shay? What else do we have to say tonight?
I am so unbelievably grateful. Like, so unbelievably grateful for everything. And Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe.